Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from everywhere and wherever you're joining us from. Thank you very much for joining the call early. So we have 5 minutes to the start time. So feel free to, drop where you're joining us from. We'd like to know where you're joining us from. I'm Lekon from Lagos, Nigeria. So I like to, just know where everyone is joining us from. So feel free to introduce yourself by dropping that on the chat box. Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As you're joining the call, please feel free to just tell us where you're joining from. I would like to know where you're joining the call from. Thank you very much. We'll start the event 5:30 on the dot. All right, it's 5:30 West Africa time. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar. We really appreciate your time. So let's get started. Fumini, over to you. Welcome. So as you're joining, please feel free to drop your name and where you're joining us from. We promise you it's going to be a lovely time on the dial today. We promise you. Thank you very much. We have fantastic speakers. Chae is here, Opemipo is here, Samaira is here. Promise it's going to be a lovely, lovely time. All right. Fumini, over to you.
Okay, awesome. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from, and welcome to our International Youth Day webinar, which is AI for kids and teens. We'll be having, as Lekon has said, exciting speakers speaking shortly. But before we get started, let's just see and let's share just how much artificial intelligence can actually do. So as we welcome ourselves, as we get set for an awesome session, let's get ready to be inspired and to learn.
These are exciting times for artificial intelligence, or AI. But what is AI? AI is the science of making machines smart, using algorithms to allow computers to solve problems which used to be solved only by humans. AI already powers search engines, online shopping recommendations, and digital assistants. Radiologists can use AI to calculate the exact shape and volume of tumors, revolutionizing treatment. Astronomers use AI to find and evaluate exoplanets in distant solar systems. And unhappy motorists are using it to discover if they can overturn parking fines. The possibilities of AI are endless, from fraud prevention to developing new strategies to address climate change. AI technologies today are brilliant at analyzing vast amounts of data to learn to complete a particular task, a technique called machine learning. But AI is not good at transferring what it's learned from one type of task to another, learning abstract concepts and one-shot learning, where a general rule is learned from a single experience, the sort of broad intelligence humans excel at. But even without achieving this broad intelligence, AI is raising questions. How might AI affect work? People will still be needed in the workplace, but jobs and roles are likely to change as some tasks become automated and new jobs are created. There is a risk that, at least in the short term, this could increase inequality if some people are disproportionately affected and benefits aren't widely shared across society. And what about social equality and fairness? Bias coming from AI systems, even if unintentional, could disproportionately affect some social groups, influencing anything from job prospects to treatment by the justice system. Technology can play a role in helping to manage bias, but people need to address big questions about how society wants to use AI. Technology with AI at its heart has the power to change the world. The more of us that engage with shaping its development, the more chance we have to ensure a better, fairer future with AI.
And that's about it for that introduction to artificial intelligence. I'm sure that we're able to pick quite a number of things. You can drop your comments, you can drop your findings in the comment section. Yes, it's wow. Yeah. So let me tell you some bit about Data Science Nigeria. So Data Science Nigeria is the #1 artificial intelligence learning community and solution delivery network in the whole of Africa. Yes, we actually won the Mathai Impact Award at the Deep Learning in Durban in 2019. And this for us is a very humbling win. And also it was meant to cement the fact that we've trained hundreds of thousands via online, offline, face-to-face content development and job placement. We have our key milestones on online and content delivery, from top videos in our AI knowledge box to hackathons to our AI book, which is AI Simplified for Starters, a free ebook that gives about 99 use cases and expert views on how to start AI. We've also had YouTube videos and views in hundreds of thousands, over 3,000 hours of learning online and face-to-face. We have our AI knowledge box, which is how, with the first of its kind, a USB of over 17,000 publicly available videos from top schools and conferences, and this is shared freely across our communities. We also run the biggest free AI learning platform on the continent, across campuses, cities, online, offline, project-based, and content development. Here are snapshots from some of our past events. Like I mentioned, we have AI Plus clubs on campuses, in universities, and in cities. This is part of our end-to-end AI ecosystem that seeks to bring students right from being in school and even after graduation. We recently won the best academic poster at the 21st ACM Conference on Economics Computer. It's the world premier conference on the interface of economics and computer science, and we are proud to have won the best academic poster at this event. And like I mentioned, we have an end-to-end AI ecosystem that seeks to bring even the youngest kid in primary school, in grade school, and see how they can start learning artificial intelligence and be upskilled to be able to take this up even as they grow older. We have released the first AI book for kids in Africa, and this is available across all these platforms. You can get more details in the chat room, and you can also find more details in the question and answer. Here's a look at some snapshots from the book. Here are some of the beautiful, well-illustrated, well-explained key concepts in Python programming and artificial intelligence. Oh. And here's a video, a testimonial from one.
Hi, my name's Elijah. I'm currently reading Artificial Intelligence for Beginners. Here are 3 reasons I like artificial intelligence. So guess what? Fortnite actually uses bots to teach you how to play. That's really cool. And Alexa also uses artificial intelligence in speech. That's awesome. And also, YouTube and Netflix also gives you recommendations for what you should watch and what you shouldn't watch. Guess what? My favorite show is The Investigators. I love this book. I also got a copy for my friend. Thanks for making this book, Bio. I hope we can all read it together.
As I stated, the book has been getting such international repute, and that was just a testimonial from one student who actually got the book. Is a young child who has been learning with the book, and now it's time to meet our super speakers. We have our speakers already around on the call, and let's just meet them. We have Chae Young Lee. You can find her at Twitter at CYLee_AI. Chae Young is a machine learning intern at Apple. She started machine learning in secondary school. She's an author. She's the author of TED Eval and Conditional Wave GAN. And you can find her GitHub repo right at that link. Also on the call today, we have Samaira Mehta. You can find her on Twitter at CoderBunnyz. She's the founder and CEO of CoderBunnyz, and she's a 12-year-old entrepreneur. She's a speaker at over 70 conferences with over 160 workshops that spotlight her board game. She has also taught over 5,000 kids to code. Wow, how cool is that? We also have on the panel that will be joining us Opemipo Disu. Opemipo Disu, you can find him on Twitter at Coder of Lagos. He's a computer programmer. He's a 14-year-old developer, an IBM champion. He's a cloud engineering, media developer, and a developer advocate. Today, we are super excited to have all of these awesome people joining us from across the world. And we are so excited to have them talk to everyone, see how we can all get started and learn artificial intelligence. Well, let's get into it. So for our first session, we'll be having Chae Young, who is already on the call. And she'll be taking us understanding artificial intelligence and use cases. So over to you, Chae Young.
Hi, do you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Hello.
Yes. Yes.
I will share my screen. It says I cannot share the screen while other participant is sharing. Okay. Okay, you all see my screens, right?
Yeah, thank you. Your screen is up now.
Great, great. Let me begin.
Right.
So I'll start with showing you a couple videos. So this video is what I guess a lot of people are used to. This is a self-driving car made by Tesla. And you can see that after the car has set the destination and the car is simply self-driving. There are so many variables on the road, intersections, highways, and so many other cars. And but the car reacts to these situations that are not scripted and safely arrive to the destination. Now another video.
iPhone 4 was groundbreaking, or A5 chip, which is up to twice as fast, which not only has 8 megapixels, but all new optics. iPhone 4S also comes with iOS 5 with over 200 new features and iCloud. And now we're introducing Siri.
How can I help you?
Siri is a whole new way of interacting with your iPhone using just your voice.
Find me an Italian restaurant in North Beach.
Okay, these 25 Italian restaurants are in North Beach.
It's like this amazing assistant that listens to you, understands you, can answer your questions, and can even accomplish tasks for you.
Move my meeting with Kelly Alltech to 12.
So the last video was about Siri, a personal assistant from Apple's products. Now, this personal assistant recognizes people's voices, makes a transcript of the audio files, and then identifies the user's intention and even speaks like a human. So that was Siri's personal assistant. And here we see Deep Blue, which is a computer from IBM that plays chess and wins the world's best chess champion. And we see AlphaGo. This is a more recent event. AlphaGo in 2016 wins Seto Lee, the world's best Go champion in the game of Go, which is even more complex than the game of chess. Actually, one of the most complex games in human history. So how can computers learn to drive like a human and talk like a human and also play games against humans and even win them? So this is machine learning, and by Arthur Samuel, who's one of the machine learning gurus in the field. Machine learning is a field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. So what it means that about machine learning and artificial intelligence is that these machines, previous to machine learning, they could only react to scripted situation. They could do exactly what the humans is programmed to do. But with machine learning, they started to learn certain behaviors from the data. And we can lead these machines to react to unscripted circumstances and perform actions that are not explicitly programmed. So today I am going to talk about understanding AI and explain you a few use cases of artificial intelligence. And my name is Chae Young Lee, and I am from a small town in South Korea called Jeonju. I was lucky enough to go to a school that prepares students to study abroad. And that's how I came to Yale University, where I am currently a rising sophomore studying computer science. And at the moment, I am a machine learning intern at Apple in the Siri text-to-speech team, developing the voices behind Siri. I'm very honored to be invited to this event, and I hope I could explain you and inspire you about some exciting events going on around in artificial intelligence. So today I'm going to talk about two main things. So what is AI and how can we get started? So how can we start learning AI? First of all, what is AI? Now, when we think of artificial intelligence, we think of science fiction. We think of these robots that just turn into red and start to get some consciousness, want to overtake the world and start killing humans. But artificial intelligence, machine learning, is simply models, some simply mathematic equations and mathematic models. So before machine learning, we had machines. We had machines in factories. We had computers that could react to scripted languages. So for example, of a conveyor belt in factories. Now, conveyor belts in factories, they could react to a situation where there are, for example, some water bottles coming in same speed, same size, same weight, and same quantity. But what if there's some kind of can by an accident or a robot? Now, these are not water bottles that these machines, the systems are scripted to react to. So previous to machine learning models, these computers were not able to handle these situations. But with machine learning, they learn from behaviors. They learn from behaviors and they identify that these are not water bottles and probably going to filter them out from the conveyor belt. So that's machine learning. When it comes to machine learning problems, now ML in short, ML problems, it's more like math. There are certain ML problems that are mostly dealt in the field, and that's classification problem, such as given some image, is this a cat or is this a dog? Or regression problem where given X data, the model predicts a Y data based on that X data. And clustering, given some data set, the model finds a cluster's distinct set of classes out of the data. Or even generation, which is making fake images or fake audio, fake speech files, fake text out of by learning the real images in the real world. So what do you mean by being ML models being mathematic or purely statistical models? So if you see this graph, this is a graph of given X data, sleep hours, and Y, my grumpiness. So ML starts by defining the problem. Now, the problem here is, let's predict the level of my grumpiness based on my sleeping hours. Then here comes the data. Now, we had a set of X and Y data, where X's are sleep hours and Y is a grumpiness. So for example, if I slept only 6 hours, my level of grumpiness will be 70. If I slept 9 hours, it's going to be 40. Then we define the model. Now, a model, there can be various kind of model, but here it seems like the data is more linear. It could be explained with a line. So we get a Y equals AX plus B, which is a linear regression model. It's a explanation of a simple line. Now, then what is training? Now, the training happens with selecting the random A and B. So we select the random A and B, and it's not gonna fit the data. It's not the best fitting regression line. So we adjust the A and B to minimize the errors. And this results into best fitting line, which in this case is Y equals -9 times X plus 125. So once we have this data, once the training is complete and we are able to have a model that describes the data, and then how are we going to solve the problem? Now, let's look at the problem again. So the problem is, let's predict my level of grumpiness based on my sleeping hours. So then the inference is, I slept 5 hours. What is my level of grumpiness? Now, how are you going to solve this? We have a model that explains the data. So in our model, Y equals -9X plus 125. The X is the sleeping hours, which is 5 at this case. So we put 5. So -9 times 5 plus 125 is 80. So this is how we could use the model to solve any kind of sleeping hours. So even if we have some new set of data, for example, 10, which was not in our data, we could also predict the level of grumpiness based on the model that we have. So machine learning starts by defining the problem, and we get the data, and we start to analyze the data, and we find a model that could best describe the data. Now train to find the A and B that could could describe our data. Now this A and B that we're finding in training time is called parameters. So after we have the parameters, we say the model is fully trained. Now we can inference, meaning solve different problems, other problems with the given model. So this would be a very, very simple one type of model, linear regression, where we have only one data point, sleeping hours. But what if the data looks like this? Can it be predicted by a line? It looks a lot erroneous, right? So instead of that, we would choose a different kind of model, which is a polynomial curve in this case. So there are different models. You need to analyze your data set, see how it looks, and find the right model. What if your model looks like this? Now the task here is to make groups, cluster your data. But your data in a two-dimensional space doesn't look like there are some distinct groups. But when we form that into a 3D axis, it could also look like they have some distinct clusters. So machine learning, it's always the same. Like I said, you start with a very clearly defined problem, and you find you have the data that you have, and you find the right model. And those models are going to be mathematical and statistical. So domains in ML. So in machine learning, there could be a few domains that are using machine learning. Now, one of those domains are NLP, which is natural language processing, which is about text data. So applications in this field could be translation, machine translation, or even text summarization. In CV, computer vision is more about images and videos. So the thing that you saw in the first video, Tesla self-driving car, its data is going to be images and videos. Then how about speech? Speech, your data is going to be WAV files, audio files, and structured data. So all of these data are not like in the example I've shown you, where your data plot is just, where your data X is just one number. Now text, images, audio files can't be described by one number, but it's set of large numbers. For example, images. Now an image is composed of pixels. Now this pixel, each pixel has the information of the intensity of, if it's a black and white color, if it's a black and white image, it's going to be the brightness. If it's a color image, then there's going to be a 3-channel of RGB, each representing the intensity of being red or green or blue. Now, images, even small images like 64 by 64, there are going to be thousands of pixels in that image. But normally the images that we're used to are even larger than that. It's like 240, 540, or 780, even 1080 or 4K images that we're used to. And there are so many pixel points that we need to process. So what happens is the emergence of deep learning. Now, the data plots, the number of data plots that you have in a single data is going to be more than thousands, maybe 10, 100,000, millions of data. So the models that you use to describe your data is going to be large. It's not going to be just thousands of data, thousands of going to be parameters, but it's going to be millions, 10 millions, 40 millions, 100 millions of parameters to explain your data plot. So this is deep learning. And the deeper you go, meaning the denser, more parameters you have, it's going to be more accurate. One very famous problem in the deep learning field is called the Imagenet challenge. So Imagenet Challenge is composed of 1,000 classes of objects like airplane, automobile, bird, cat, deer, and so on. And given these a set of images, now the task of the model is to classify what object is dominant in the given image. Now, the surprising thing is that now you can see that in 2010 and 2011, error rates are huge. It's like 28, 26. Now, these are shallow layers, meaning machine learning models before deep learning. But after that, 2012, AlexNet comes. This is one of the first deep learning models the field has seen, and it has made huge improvements from the traditional machine learning models. And you can see that the error rates are decreasing, and in 2015, in the year 2015, the machine learning models start to do better jobs than us humans. So in other words, machines are doing better job in classifying objects in an images than we humans do. And you can see that here it says it was 8 layers, 19, 22, and 152. So the models are going deeper and deeper and heavier. So now I get it. So machine learning is some kind of mathematical and statistical models, but how can we start to learn machine learning models and start to make one? The answer is simple: online resources. I didn't go to college. I was not a college student when I started to learn machine learning. And so many students all over the world, there's so many online resources in the web that teach us about machine learning. We could have a solid background in machine learning. And some of the courses offered online, like Andrew's Coursera course, or Stanford and UC Berkeley courses, are going to give you solid fundamentals in the machine learning field. And there are curated guides that going to lead you to so many resources. And also, if you want to learn programming languages like Python or libraries like TensorFlow, PyTorch, there's so many hands-on tutorials online. But in reality, there's so many requirements in learning artificial intelligence. You first need to have programming skills. You need to be so used to writing codes in Python. You need to know how to use machine learning libraries such as TensorFlow and PyTorch, even math and statistics background, supercomputers or AI experts. But that is not easy. It's very difficult because, we are just kids right now, right? So I'm going to give you a short summary of how I started to artificial intelligence. So when I first interned at AI Research Institute in Korea, I was a freshman in high school. I didn't know any of the math and statistics that I just wrote in the last slide, but I just went into this AI Research Institute in Korea and started to have some very fundamental backgrounds in deep learning. And then I went to TensorFlow Deep Learning Camp in Jeju, Korea, where I was able to publish the first deep learning paper, the paper was presented in one of the workshops in NeurIPS. NeurIPS is a conference about deep learning. And after high school, I worked at Naver for 6 months before going to college. And this was my first actual industry experience where I was an intern trying to make some cutting edge technology in machine learning, because that was a year ago. And this summer, I was able to get a job at Apple in the Siri team, where I'm developing machine learning voices for Apple products. So when I said requirements in learning AI, I'm telling you that I had none when I started learning artificial intelligence. But the things that I had trying to get to people, reach out to people, and get these like industry experiences, it's just that passion, not giving up. You need to spare those times to start learning those artificial intelligence using those online resources. And you need courage to ask stupid questions, which I'm always doing, even at this moment while I'm interning. I'm always embarrassed by my questions, but I'm also reaching out to people every time, my mentors, people I see online that I don't even know. I just shoot cold mails. That's how I earned my first internship opportunity. And just the last thing I wanted to say is, let's just be good students. You know, we have so much time left before we go to college and get an actual degree, in a graduate school where a lot of people first start to learn machine learning. So never hurry up with what you're doing. We will sometime after just pursuing our passion, we will get there. So thank you very much. This is the end of my talk. And there's a panel session, I think, after, right? So I will try to answer your questions during the panel session. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Chae. Thank you so much. It's been a very, very insightful one. A lot of questions. Of course, during the panel section, would have all of them answered. All right, Fumini, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Chae.
No problem.
That was an awesome session.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just before we go on, so the other questions will be answered during the panel session.
Right.
So so we have all the questions there, and we already have our team also answering questions in the chat room. Yeah, so we'll be moving on to the next speaker now. Thank you so much one more time.
Yep, no worries.
Okay, so let's have short quiz, pop quiz, guys. So I have a set of questions here, and we have gifts for the people who can answer the questions. All right. So so let me just set some ground rules. For every question, you have 30 seconds to answer, and the first set of correct answers would be the winners. I think we get that. Okay, so let's get into it. Who was the first computer programmer? Wow, wow, wow. Wow, okay. That question is done, and let's see the answer. Yes, a lot of us are correct. Lady Ada Lovelace was the first computer programmer. So once again, with fastest fingers, the first correct answer gets the gift. So we'll be giving out copies of our free AI book that I mentioned earlier. So the first correct answers get, so it's the fastest fingers, guys. All right, let's get into the next question. Who is the youngest computer programmer in the world? Wow. Whoa. So remember, it's the fastest. It's the fastest. All right, closing that question now. Let's see. Mohammed Hamza Shazad, a 7-year-old boy. He is the youngest computer programmer in the world. A lot of us got that correctly. That's awesome. Okay, let's see. Next question. We still have a few more questions to go. What was the initial name given to the famous search engine Google? Uh-oh. Wow. The answers are slower this time. I hope you are not trying to use Google to find Google. Okay, closing that. And yeah, the answer is back rub. I see a lot of us got that correctly, but remember, it's the fastest fingers. So on your marks, get set, and next question. PC game lovers. What year was the world's first computer game created? TikTok. Okay, seeing our answers. Okay, well done, guys. Okay, so what's the answer to that? Space War was the world's first computer game, and it was created in 1962. All right, so the last one and last question for the day. What is the name of the world's first programming language? Oh, it's fastest finger, guys. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and the answer is Fortran. It was developed in 1957. So I'm sure we had an exciting time responding to the questions. Now we'll be moving to our next speaker, Samaira Monica, who is already around on the call, and she'll be talking to us on problem-solving skills for kids and teens. I'm really excited about this. And Samaira.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
Please go ahead.
All right, so yeah, let me get started. Hi everyone, my name is Samaira Mehta. I am 12 years old. I'm an entrepreneur and I am the creator of CoderBunnyz and the mission, yes, 1 billion kids can code. And yeah, today I'll be talking with you guys about problem solving and problem solving skills. So first of all, today I want to cover what exactly is problem solving. I want to cover the process of how to do it. And then I want to share with you a bit of my personal experience with this problem solving method and sort of my story and my journey. And then I also wanted to give you a few real world examples with that and how it plays integral with our world today. So so to get started, let me explain what exactly problem solving is. And it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's the process of finding a solution to a difficult or complex issue. And, essentially we talk about a process, the process of finding the solution. But what exactly is that process? And that is basically the crux of what I wanted to be talking with you guys about today. So, let's see, this is this is the process I use when I solve a problem, and I thought it'd be really helpful to share with you guys as well. So this method is called the IDEAL method, and IDEAL essentially means identify, define, explore, take action, and then look back. So if you look at the IDEAL, and this is how I remember it, and this is actually a very important process. And basically how this works is you identify the problem you're facing, which is step one. You define it, what exactly is my problem, and then you explore potential solutions to your problem, and you decide on one. With that one solution, you take action, trying to solve the problem, and to look back and see, was the problem really solved using my solution? And this is the problem solving method that I use. Okay, so I wanted to share with you a little bit about my story with this problem solving method, as well as, my journey and my story overall. So I am a kid entrepreneur. I have my own company, which is basically a series of board games to teach kids about computer science and artificial intelligence. And I also have a mission with the goal of helping 1 billion kids in the world gain access to computer science tools. So let me give you a brief overview of how I was introduced to computer science as well. So one day when I was 6 years old, my dad did a prank on me. He showed me something on his computer where there was one button and then there was a command which said, press this if you're beautiful. He told me to give it a try, but when my mouse pointer actually touched that you are beautiful command, it just disappeared. So I was like, how did you do that? Am I not beautiful? What's going on here? But my dad told me that he actually used something called programming, computer science to create this. And that is when I got really interested in coding and computer science, because I wanted to be able to prank my friends in a similar way. But of course, naturally, when I was first introduced to coding, I immediately loved it. And I started talking to my friends about how much I loved it as well. However, when I was talking to my friends, they were all like, oh, I don't really enjoy coding, or coding is boring. And for me, that was the problem I was facing. I was like, I enjoy coding so much. How can I make my friends enjoy it as much as I do? So essentially in the problem solving method, this is where I identified and defined the problem I was facing. And then next was exploring potential solutions. So I did a lot of research and I found, what is that one thing that kids and parents enjoy playing, or, that they play together. And the most common thing I saw was board games. And through board games, I saw that, there's also a lot of communication, teamwork, and other skills that you learn throughout the process, as well as, of course, you could, if you could put something as complex as computer science and coding into a board game, I was so confident that all my friends would love it. And I used to think, I thought of, other examples. For example, one of my favorite board games that I really enjoy playing is a game called Monopoly. And Monopoly, you can learn concepts about real estate and, money management and things like that. Important real life skills through a board game. So I thought, maybe I could teach something like coding through a board game, making it fun for my friends. So I explored potential solutions, which is, the third step in the problem solving method. I explored the solutions, and I saw that even parents enjoy it when their kids come together and play board games with them, and kids love playing board games. And if I could put something like coding into a board game, that would definitely be really, really helpful and, make coding fun for my friends. So then, of course, I took action towards towards this board game that I want to create. So what I did was I told my parents, hey, this coding thing that you introduced me to, I love it. My friends don't enjoy it as much as I do, but I see that if I could put it in a board game, I know that they would love it. They told me how much they'd love it. And my parents were just like, oh, how would you create a board game? What do you know about coding? I just introduced it to you. But this was something I really wanted to do. So I didn't give up. I did research and I found out, what creating a board game involved. I found out that, while creating a board game, you need to create rough sketches, get in contact with graphic designers. You have to do the play testing. You have to do the prototyping. And then you get into mass production. And when I told my parents this time, they're like, okay, you know what you're talking about. And from there, they supported me the entire way. As you can see in this picture, these were just some of the original rough sketches I had with my game. You could see I drew out how I wanted it to look. My parents were supportive and they helped me, print out whatever I needed to print out. And, I was taking action. I knew the problem. I knew the solution I wanted to create, and I took action towards that. So this was, more of the prototyping stage where I have all these rough sketches and all these, real just drawings and stuff like that. But then, of course, I continued to take action until I had my board game to the phase where it is today, the board game that sells in the market today. And, CoderBunnyz is right here. It was really amazing to see my ideas and my visions being turned into reality. Once again, my parents were always really supportive of me. They helped me get in contact with the graphic designers to make, some of my drawings and sketches a reality. And all in all, they were really supportive. But, this game, it all just started with the problem I was facing. I explored potential solutions. I took action to get the board game to where it was today. And then, with this board game, I was playing with my friends. I was playing with my brother, and originally, my friends who thought coding was boring, thought coding was not fun. I was playing with them, and I saw that their mindset and perspective towards computer science was really changing through a simple board game. So I'm like, this is really cool, but I want to teach even more kids. My mom suggested I start doing workshops. Now, at the time, I was maybe 7.5 years old, and I thought workshops were these things where you go to places like, wood shops, and you build things out of wood. But even though, that wasn't correct, the workshops my mom was referring to was the ones where you go to places like libraries or schools, and you teach other kids about something that you're good at. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. So, of course, I went to a few of my close by libraries and I told them, I have this idea of a board game. It started with a problem I was facing. I've tried it out with my friends and my brother, and I really want to do workshops, here at your library. Would you be willing to let me host them? And from there, libraries originally told me no. They were like, you're just a 7.5, you're just an 8-year-old kid. How will you lead a workshop and who will come and listen to you? But of course, this was once again something I really wanted to do. So I continued going to libraries, continued to schools, and I didn't give up until one of the closest libraries in my area, they loved the idea. We started doing workshops right away. From there, I've done hundreds of workshops teaching thousands of kids at places like libraries, schools, tech events, communities, and companies like Google, Microsoft, Intel, Facebook, and many others. And once again, in the problem-solving, process, method, this is looking back and seeing, was this idea really beneficial? Did it make a change? Did it solve the problem? And the answer to that question was yes. With these workshops I've done, I saw that the students' perspective and mindset towards computer science was really changing. And they were starting to think of it as something fun, as something that they could do as well. And of course, that continued to motivate me to, do these workshops, to do these, events where I get more kids into coding. And, I was continuing to do these, and parents started asking me now, okay, great, we played one level of the game at the workshop, but, where can I play more? Where can I buy these games? And originally it was, just at a prototyping stage. I was just doing this for fun. And really I was just trying to solve a problem. But a lot of parents started asking me, how much they wanted to buy the game and where they could buy it. And I thought maybe it's time to get into mass production. From there, within a year, we started selling on Amazon. And then CoderBunnyz trended at #1 out of all of the board games on Amazon. And this showed me how much impact my work can make in the community. And of course, it motivated me to work harder and continue solving problems. And once again, this is still looking back and seeing, is my game really making an impact? Is it really solving a problem? And it was. And it showed that, it was successful. This method was successful. Creating a board game was one of the right methods to get more kids into computer science in a fun way. And then, from there, I've been fortunate to have been featured on various news platforms all across the world. But once again, I just believe I'm still a normal kid. I still go to school, I still have homework, I still do extracurricular activities, but I choose to invest time in some of my big goals and some of my missions. And these missions include things like, yes, 1 billion kids can code. And yes, 1 billion kids can code is one of my missions that I've started with the goal of helping 1 billion kids gain access to computer science tools. And essentially with this, I've been continuing to do my workshop, but I've also been expanding, because 1 billion is a huge number, and if I want to achieve it, I have to take more drastic action. So, I've been working with things like, continuing to partner with people, continuing to the workshops. I'm working on an app with Yes 1 Billion Kids Can Code. So just things like these to help me achieve my big goal. And then, of course, I released another board game called CoderBunnyz, which introduces the concepts of AI. And this summer, I held a pitch fest called BossBiz, where I created around 100 young entrepreneurs, and they pitched their idea for the chance to win $1,000 as seed funding to kick off their business. So this is just some of the other work I've been doing. But in this entire process, it was always a problem that I came across, and using the problem-solving method, I came up with these solutions. But to wrap up, I wanted to give you a few more real-world examples, especially with AI and problem-solving skills, how we could put them together and change the world. So, as of now, our entire world is facing the COVID-19 pandemic. However, things like AI and problem-solving skills can play a huge role in things like these as well. So, here on the screen, I have the 4 main methods that, I think about and where AI could play a huge role. And I did research and I found that AI is already playing a huge role in things like this. But once again, all of these methods use the problem-solving skills and problem-solving method to help them achieve this. So to quickly go over these, AI could predict, look over credible government documents and news sources, and it could actually be used to detect an outbreak. And this has already been used before. So there's a company called Blue Dot, and their AI warned the threat of the COVID-19 pandemic days before the Centers for Disease Control or the World Health Organization did. So AI is already playing a role in predicting these sort of pandemics. Another thing AI could do is deliver. So, AI can't exactly get the coronavirus. So if we could take advantage of that and use things like the drones and the robots to deliver the medical supplies and groceries, a lot of lives would be put out of danger, saving so many people. And there's things like Terra Drone, who are already using AI like this to help them deliver and help them transport medical supplies. Next is diagnose. So, once again, AI can't get COVID-19. So if they could diagnose the virus, then that would save hundreds and thousands of lives of hospital workers. And there's actually a company called Alibaba, and they've already created an AI-powered diagnosis system they claim is 96% accurate at diagnosing the virus in seconds. So once again, things like this has already been doing that. And then, of course, the extreme, a potential cure to COVID-19, understanding the proteins that make it, and then using supercomputers to find the cure. And there's so many amazing companies out there who are already working towards some of these big goals with COVID-19. And once again, it's AI and the problem-solving skills put together to really accomplish this. So to wrap up today, I just wanted to say that, the world of tomorrow is not going to be the same with COVID-19 and so many other pandemics we may face in the future. But what I do want to say is that I believe that you all of you guys here today, are the people who are going to be building these solutions. So I hope you take into account, some of the problem-solving method I talked about today, the importance of AI and how AI is not a threat, and use that to build the solutions of tomorrow's world. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Samaira. that was an amazing session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So I guess we can all get to using the ideal method to solve problems in our local communities. Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that awesome session again. So, well, we had the short do you know section where we had questions and answers, and the winners get free copies of our AI book. Well, congratulations to our winners. We have Jafet Gold, Famida Yusuf, Fadil Ajiboye, Ayomide Awofisayo, Erica Unsofo. Congratulations to all of you. So you have won free copies of the AI book. Our team will be in touch as to how you can redeem your gifts and get the books. All right. As we mentioned earlier, we have on the call all our speakers. Opemipo Disu is also around to join the panel session, which will have questions that everyone submitted with the forms. We have created these and selected questions that for the panel to discuss. So your questions will be answered by our amazing speakers. So if you have other questions, you can drop them in the chat. Please note that the question and answer session is quite different from the chat room. Use the chat room so that your questions can be collected with every other question. And for the winners of the AI book, you can pick up copies of your AI book at the AI of more details on this will come from our team as they reach out to you. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to our panel discussion now. So we'll have our speakers share from their wealth of experience, from how they started AI, how they started coding, and all those wonderful experiences. Okay. All right, so checking, is everyone on the call? Samaira, Chae, Opemipo?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Hi, Opemipo. Okay, so let's get started. So the first question is going to Chae. So the way it works, even though the question is directed at one of the speakers, the other speakers, please do feel free to chime in, and as much as possible, also want to hear your view. So Chae's question says, how can I start my journey in the field of artificial intelligence as a kid? Okay.
Yeah, to answer this, well, I think as a kid to start doing artificial intelligence, I think it's more like you should go hands-on, like the IDEAL type of problem solving. Samaria, is that you're correct? Am I?
Samaira.
Like Samaria said, explained. I think you guys should you guys can find a problem that could be solved by a simple machine learning model task like prediction, diagnosis, regression, or even clustering, and then find similar models that are already up on GitHub. Like the codes are available online, so you guys can try to clone that GitHub repository and try to customize, fine tune it for your problem. So I think those kind of small project as a kid would really help you get on track, because it's always difficult even for machine learning researchers who are making state-of-the-art models to keep track of the so many new research that are being constantly published in every month. So don't really try to learn what's the best technology, what's the best technique, what's the best model at the moment, but just try to stick on what you can, a small problem and a small model and small data set that you can collect by yourself, and just try to solve those small problems. So that would be my words of advice.
Thank you so much for that. That's quite apt. Opemipo, could you unmute? I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Opemipo, what would like to hear your view on this as well. I mean, for kids in Nigeria, you have been here. What do you have to share about this?
Hello, please can you say what you said again?
Okay, yes. So the question is, how can I start my journey in the field of artificial intelligence as a kid? And I know a lot of the kids on the call actually have been asking that question. So I want you to bring it like to the local level here. Can you just help? How do you think that they can get started?
Oh yeah, getting started with artificial intelligence is like you should start with something very easy. For example, starting with a technology like IBM Watson or Python before you can start with different technologies like C++ or other technologies. So I think you should start with something easier and learn best. Look for a solution that you can provide with the technology you are learning with artificial intelligence. I think that's the answer to the question.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, so let's see another question. Okay, awesome. So Samaira, this is for you. What are the special tools and steps I need to take to become a professional programmer?
Yeah, and I think that's a very good question. I think the specific tools and steps to become a professional programmer. So I think, coding is something, it's really about a mindset. So first of all, before even, to get started, it's about having a can-do mindset. It's about having a mindset where, I'm not going to let failure or anything like that stop me. And then, mindset is the key in programming. But after that, for me, I think I recommend, I started with very, very basic tools. When I was younger, I started with things like, code.org or Scratch. And, basically block-based programming is what I started with. And then with that, I think I moved on to Python. And I think Python is a very, very versatile language. It's a very important language in computer programming. It can be used in a variety of things, from data science to machine learning to, to a lot of other things. And Python is a pretty simple language to start with. So I recommend starting with Python. And then, right now I'm learning JavaScript, for example. So JavaScript, Java, those are also important languages you could learn, are also very helpful. And then there's things like web development, app development, which are also, once again, I think key things for programmers and overall well-rounded programmers. And I think, I think the main things that are important to learn is Python and Java or JavaScript, and then web development and app development and things like that. But there's so many other amazing languages out there. So it's really about what interests you. A professional programmer is something that takes years to become. I still would not call myself a professional programmer, but I think, it's about mindset and then really just taking on and following what you're passionate about.
Thank you, Samaira. Thank you very much. Does anyone else want to add something? Chae, Opemipo? Okay, no. All right. So, Opemipo, question says, can I still become a professional programmer and an expert in artificial intelligence, even if I do not want to be in the science class? So say the person is not involved in STEM, and the person wants to become a professional programmer and expert in artificial intelligence.
Oh yeah, basically I'll start off with saying I'm not a science student. Basically, I love science a lot, but I'm not this person who is in science class or something related to this. So currently, I would see myself as a professional programmer, but yeah, people call me professional programmer. I think that's right. Then expert in artificial intelligence. If you can become a professional programmer and expert in artificial intelligence, it's very, very simple. Basically, I think the first thing you need to do is working on your skill and the skills, for example, Python, IBM Watson, any technology is a skill. You should work on consistently. So you should work on them consistently because you can actually forget anything you are working on in a day or any time. So and also I think you should work on side projects while working on your main project. Sorry, before working on your main project or while learning. So that will help you to become a professional programmer and an expert in artificial intelligence. Even if you are not in science class, even I'm sharing my experience because I'm not in science class also. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. So on top of that also, so if a student already has some programming skills or they've gotten started, how can you recommend that they do to improve their programming skills?
Oh yeah, like I said, by learning consistently. Yeah, learning consistently is the main key to becoming a professional programmer. Or what you're saying is the answer to what you're saying. Learning consistently helps. Like while learning consistently, I think you have to work on a side project also. So when you have a mistake on your main project or the main project you're working on, you can easily go back to your side project and bring what you've learned from that. I think that's
Wow.
it.
That's very, very, very insightful. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Anyone else want to add? Yeah?
Yeah, I have something to add to this question. So I think like to make like leaps in your programming skills, I think like doing projects is like really important.
Yeah.
Like every time I have this like leap in my programming skills or like in AI was when I had some industry experience, like an internship, or when I have this project, try to write a research paper by myself. That was like when I had to like learn really like go deep into that one specific problem and try to make that like scalable and applicable to more people. So I think like if you want to like make like these leaps, then you should try to not just like stick on the theories or like just try to learn what programming skills is like from a book or like from a web, but just try to solve a problem. Like that kind of problem solving process really makes you better in what you're doing. And also to add on to this question about becoming a professional programmer and an expert in AI, so I think like if you wanna have fun with programming, or if you want to do programming like as a side, I think you don't really need those like math or statistics bases. But once you want to like join the industry and be a professional like in this field, I think like those like math or statistics bases or some like computer science theories like data structures, objective programming, like these OS systems, like these kind of theories do matter, like if you want to work in the industry. So if you're thinking about like becoming a professional programmer, I suggest like we should like really do work hard in what we're like learning in school, because that's gonna matter sometimes, like if you want to join the industry.
Yeah, that's quite insightful. Thank you so much for that.
Yep.
Especially about the part of what we're learning in school, how that really translates to industry. Thank you so much for that. Samaira, any comments?
No, I think I mentioned everything. I just wanted to sort of add that you don't necessarily have to be good at a certain thing to be good at another. You don't have to be an expert in science to be an expert in artificial intelligence or to become a programmer. Although, certain skills that you may learn in science may be helpful in it. If it's not what you're passionate about, if it's not what you're interested, then don't do it. Do what you enjoy, do what's close to your heart.
Wow, thank you so much for that. That's amazing. Wow, thank you. So, Chae, where can I source materials to have full knowledge in this field of artificial intelligence? And like just generally to find the materials, I mean, you mentioned some platforms earlier. If you visit those also, and programming languages.
Right. So actually, if you want to like, so having full knowledge is a quite a strong word. So right. So if you want to be like, I guess like I'm not even an expert level. So like working at Apple, honestly, I always feel so embarrassed because the level of knowledge that I have in the field is always just so shallow. To really know what things are going in AI, you really like I feel like you really need to know like the theories that are going on. Like you need to know papers like, you know, in if you're doing text, you need to know papers like BERT, transfer, like those transfer learning ideas from those fields. And if you're doing speech, you need to know tachytron, how those complex models work.
Yeah.
So like having full knowledge would be really, really difficult. But I would say if you're aiming to work at a company that does AI, like Google Brain, DeepMind, Facebook AI research, and be part of those cutting edge research, I think you should try to like select a domain. If it's text, go with text. If it's speech, go with speech for a while. Try to get to the level where you can read papers. I mean, like field research, like research papers in that field.
Wow. Even for the kids, that's wow. Wow. That's
Right. It's kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Wow, that's challenging.
Well, yeah. I mean, for kids, like, it's definitely hard to go on to reading like papers or trying to like do those actual like research level. So I'm just like I'm saying the same thing as I said with the first sentence. With that the answer would be like kind of like try to just do small projects, and don't try to like go to that research level where you need all those like theoretical backgrounds. Just try to like solve small problems.
Thank you so much. So start small and we can build on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so Samaira, is there an opportunity to learn how to build or create computer and phone apps? I think the question more is like, if one is to learn to build computer and phone apps, like how can one go about creating that? Are there platforms that one can use to learn this kind of programming?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, when you talk about computer and phone apps, there are so many resources out there. There is Udemy, Coursera, Khan Academy, you name it. There's so, just YouTube courses. There's so many resources out there on how to create a phone app, how to create a computer app. But one thing I'd recommend is, just like with AI, start with the basics. Create a very simple app that maybe just click a button and it will do something, and from there expand on that, add more features to that simple clicking a button and it'll do something, that simple app. And from there, really just expand. So start slow, and make sure you master everything like as you do it. So let's say it's the button one that I just gave the example for. If it's a button, if you just press a button and it does something, try to remember that skill, and then use it with the next skill that you're learning. So use what you've learned before and apply it to the next thing you're going to learn, to always reinforce the concept. And then I think creating a computer, a phone app, computer science, the coding portion of that is important as well. So I know for me, developing computer and phone apps are something that I'm very, very interested in, and it is something I'm really passionate about. And so, what I did was I just simply started by watching YouTube tutorials, and from there, I implemented that into my app, and I started creating new apps with that same sort of feature, but in my own way. So I'd really reinforce this concept and start small and expand on that.
Thank you very much for that. I want to just add to that, because it seems like you do quite a lot, and you're teaching people to code, and you're also learning. How can one start teaching others to code while the person is also learning?
Yeah, I think that is a very, very important question. And for me, that's exactly what I do. I love teaching others. Teaching is one of my it's one of my passions, but also learning about computer science and apps and those sort of things are also my passion. So what I recommend doing is, this skill is really helpful for me even when I'm just studying for school. Once you learn about something, try to teach it to someone else. So for me, let's say I learn a new concept in science, and then I go and I just teach my brother or my mom about that. So it reinforces the concept for me, and it also teaches them about it. So I think that is something that's the method that I really believe in. But when it comes to computer science and programming, it's sort of, you can do it in a similar way. Let's say I just learned something new in JavaScript. What I can do is I could create a little presentation on that, and if it was just fresh, I just learned it, I can go and hold a workshop and teach other people about it. So once again, it's a review for me. It's reinforcing the concept for me, and it teaches other people about it as well. So I think that is a really effective and helpful method, even for you as an individual, to learn how to learn about computer science as well.
Thank you very, very, very much for that. Thank you so much. All right. So, Opemipo, and I think this question actually, I would like to ask for all our facilitators to just share on this, like how can I balance my school activities with my interest in programming and artificial intelligence? So I'm in school. How can I balance, schoolwork, homework, other work with this interest in programming and artificial intelligence and learning all these things? So we can start from Opemipo. Opemipo, are you there? Oh, okay. So while we wait for Opemipo, who I think Chae.
Okay, this was the problem I was having earlier this year. I was having a problem with balancing with my school and programming life. Then I actually found out the best way to do this. Yeah, going to school is the priority of most Nigerian parents or African parents, I would say. Then and also developers do not like they are not more interested in school activities compared to the way they are interested in their programming life. Yeah, I think the best way for to go about this is coding during weekends and like full coding during weekends. Then also school life should be during weekdays, like from Mondays to Friday. Then actually from I think Saturday to Sunday or so, yeah, you should go back to your coding life. I think that's how it worked for me. Yeah. Then sometimes when I'm back from school or when I'm done with my exams or tests, I can just go into coding and have what I want to do. That's it.
Wow, thank you so much for that. Thank you for sharing that personal experience. Chae, let's hear from you. How do you balance it all?
Yeah, this is actually a very great question. So back in high school, so in Korea, so I went to high school in Korea where education system is like, you need to get good grades, you need to get good test scores to go to good schools. I guess it's the same for many places in the world. So I knew that I had to get good grades and do good school activities to go to good university. But I was always so interested in artificial intelligence. So basically, like what Opemipo said, I used to study really, really hard in the weekdays and would, like when it's like Friday night, I would start like coding and study AI in the weekends. But this is like really, really hard because like weekends are for you to like kind of chill and relax and prepare for the next week. Yeah. So right. So it's really hard. Like I was only like able to do that like for a couple of years when I was like really, really passionate in like learning AI. And it was like one of my initial years like of learning AI. But when I came to college, now it's like, I don't, like it's really hard to balance that. So I'm more into school activities in during academic year. And I try to use my summer and winter for like industry experiences or small projects that I'm doing. So I think really it depends on what stage you're in whether like it's a secondary school or like a college, and really depends on like how much passion you have. But just like one tip of advice would be like schoolwork, like it's gonna matter, you know, like someday. It might be like worth to pursue like what you really want to do right at the moment. But as students, like we really need to, you know, like study hard, do our schoolwork, and try to like go to like high level schools like high school or like college or grad school, if that's what you're aiming for in a big leap, in a longer term.
Wow, that's quite true. Thank you very much for that also. So lastly,
Yeah.
Samaira.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, once again, this is a very important question. And one thing I like to do is I like to just set certain time periods. And in those time periods, I either work on programming, work on a company or something like that. But I think I'm doing time slots. So for me, my school runs from 7:45 in the morning to 3 in the evening. So of course that entire time is taken up for school. Then maybe from 3 to 5 or 3 to 5, I like to work on, I either take breaks, eat snacks, or either work on homework, work on school projects or things like that, because, you know, school is something important, as everyone before mentioned. But I think, you know, after that, I just like to focus on other things that are important to me. So maybe from 5 to 9, I focus on company, on my coding skills, on AI. I focus on what I'm doing to develop with my company. It's, you know, family time, other, you know, fun activities. But I think, you know, school is very, very important. So never take that lightly, but also, you know, do set time aside for other things that you are passionate about as well.
Thank you very much for that as well. That's a very, very useful item. Thank you very much. Okay, so as we close this session, there's this question that says, how can I be skilled in robotics and artificial intelligence in a location where there are no places or mentors to learn from? So this is the last question, and I think this just generally addresses learning in places where you cannot, maybe you can't reach resources or you can't reach mentors. How do you guys advise that people should go about, the kids should go about learning? So anyone can go, yeah. So this one's free. Anyone can just answer.
I can go ahead and answer this.
Uh,
So yeah, so I think, you know, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of resources out there, and I completely understand that, you know, mentors and teachers are really, really important and really help you learn a certain skill. So what I recommend doing is, you know, there's so many online resources out there. So you know, right now it's even maybe not the safest thing to meet people in person because of our pandemic. So what I recommend doing is, you know, it maybe doesn't have to be somebody close to you or your area, but, you know, maybe you could video chat or you know, Zoom call with somebody maybe outside of your area, but who are also willing to mentor you. So for this, you know, necessarily don't have to be in your area, but especially with our entire world sort of shifting online right now, it's a lot easier to find online mentors anywhere in the world. So that is one thing I recommend doing. And then another thing is that with all the tools out there, like Khan Academy, for example, is one of my favorites. They teach you the lesson, and then, you know, you get to do the project or an activity along with it, or maybe you get to answer a set of questions or something like that. So I think those are helpful tools. But another thing is, with our virtual world, you know, you could look for mentors online who are also willing to help you out, mentor you, and or guide you.
wow, thank you very much for that. Anybody else want to add something?
Yeah, I can add some opinion. Yeah, Samaria basically said what I really wanted to say. Just reach out. There are so many online resources, and there are great mentors out there. So like during one of my slides, during my presentation, one of my slides, I said that just don't be afraid to reach out to people. So most of my internship opportunities and like just camp experiences and lab opportunities were from cold emailing. So I didn't know who that person was. That was like not like my friend's friend or like my friend's dad or something like that. I just like reached out to them, found that their email online, and just asked them a bunch of questions, or like just sent out a resume and like, hey, I'm doing this kind of work and I really need help. Or and even I was able to get some like cloud resources, in other words, computing resources from Google Cloud by sending out cold emails. So there are people and companies that would try to assist you. But one word of advice would be prepared, because these mentors are people who are very busy. So if you just like shoot a random email, like asking questions that are not like well prepared or like couldn't be solidly answered, they'll be really annoyed. So yeah, so just try to be prepared and try to like make your questions easy to answer as possible. And just that way you can just like reach out to people. And even me, you guys can reach out to me with Twitter. And if you have any questions, just try to get some like resources done. You know, just find those people online.
Thank you very, very, very much for that. Opemipo, do you want to add something? Okay, so thank you guys so much for today. Thank you for the amazing insights. Thank you for the personal experiences shared. Thank you very, very much. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much for your impact and kids across the globe. We're really grateful to have you today. So as we move on, right now, I would like to introduce every single one of us to the Data Science Nigeria AI Plus for Kids and Teens community. So like the last question addressed, there is the need for, a community for mentors. I've seen a lot of questions around how can I get help on this? How can I get help on that? Resources. And we understand this, the uniqueness of kids and teens. And we've seen that it's important for there to be a community that can help address learning and growth. And so what we have is our AI Plus for Kids and Teens community. We have run past programs, summer school for kids, where we have kids learn to code, where we have kids learn robotics, IoT, embedded tech, and so many other amazing things. And what we have there is that we've had these kind of programs. And let's see a testimonial from one of our attendees.
Has been an amazing time. We've done so many things. We've had such a wonderful experience. We have learned vast number of things. And data science has had amazing impacts on our generation so far. For the first day we came, we learned about introduction to artificial intelligence. So we got a background information of what AI is and how AI is applied in our life and how AI will take over in the future. We also got introduced to Python Turtle, the Python Turtle interface. So we learned the basics of programming. We also worked with hardware like robots, programming those robots to do certain things to avoid obstacles. And we very fun. The second day, third day, we got used to
Okay. Looks like our facilitator has a technical issue, so I think we just continue from here. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for staying up till now. And now I'm gonna just introduce you all. Fumi, are you back? All right, no problem. So right away, I'm sharing my screen so I can show you. All right. So here, let's go ahead and introduce you to the community, the AI for Kids and Teens community. So I'm dropping this link right here. I know that we should be done by 7, so let's do this, guys. So I've dropped the link to the community page, so please feel free to check the community page out. You can surely register to become a member, right? So essentially, the AI for Kids and Teens community, right? The vision is clear, right? It's part of Data Science Nigeria's vision to raise 1 million AI talents in 10 years. And we believe that kids and teens are very, very important to achieving this great vision. All right. So I've dropped the link right there. So what you just need to do, go there. You can read more about the Data Science Nigeria AI Plus for kids and teens. I tell you, we have a lot of upcoming events. The summer school, training programs, just like Fumini mentioned at the beginning of this session, right? That Data Science Nigeria's AI Plus community is a free community, which means that if you're interested in learning Python programming, you're interested in learning artificial intelligence, a lot of opportunities are there for you, to learn this skill. So please feel free to visit that site and then register to become a member of the community. Now, the AI Plus for Kids is Data Science Nigeria's AI Plus community for primary and junior secondary school. All right. And then this community is for kids between the age of 7 and 11. So if you are 7, between the age of 7 and 11, then trust me, you want to be part of this community. All right. Then the AI Plus for Teens community, that's for people within the age of 12 and 18. All right. So it tell you you would love to be part of it. And what's the objective essentially, right? One that stands out is the fact that the community intends to allow kids all across the world, really all across the world, to come together virtually this time around to learn. Yeah, you're 7 years, so definitely you can be part of the community. We teach you Python, we teach you artificial intelligence, and then you can get yourself inspired and get yourself exposed to this emerging technology of artificial intelligence. All right. So please feel free to visit the site, like I said earlier on, and I tell you, you are going to discover a lot by being a member of the community. And in addition to that, if you have any questions whatsoever, right, please just email them to aicommunity@datasciencenigeria.ai. We are always willing to hear from you. We are willing to support your growth. And since we also have, we've been in conversation, so you can be sure that we would always continue this conversation with you via mail, so that you can know about the opportunities that are coming up within the community. And of course, the AI book is available, so you can always tell your parents to order for you. And I tell you, it's going to be a lovely, lovely one for you. All right, guys, so we've come to the end of today's session. It's been a fantastic time. Thank you so very much, Chae Young. Thank you so very much, Samaira. It's been a lovely, lovely session with you. Opemipo, fantastic session. Thank you so very much. So until the next time, happy International Youth Day. Thank you very much, guys. We celebrate you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chae.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.